Hello there everybody, it's me again, Tiger LOL, and today I'm doing another game review. This time it's on Prototype. So yeah, so I just got, Prototype last week. I downloaded it on my PlayStation, and, I really like it. I think it's a really awesome game, and it's definitely going in my top 4 favorite games. I beat it in 5 days. And I really like it. I really think it's a good game. And so yeah, let's begin. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same kind of thing I did with my Infamous game review. Okay, so the plot of this game is pretty interesting. Okay, so basically what happens in it, turn it off if you don't want to be spoiler. I'm warning you, there are spoilers in this. But, at the beginning of the game, you see, the city of New York has kind of gone to hell, and you see, this man named Alex Mercer who introduces himself. He's like, "My name is Alex Mercer. I'm the reason for all this. They call me a killer, a monster, a terrorist. I'm all these things." And he, jumps off a building, and basically he kind of gives you a short summary of what's happened, and then, he goes and fights some people, and yada yada yada. And then he meets up with this anonymous person. You don't know who he is yet, and he basically recaps what has happened the last 18 days. So we go back 18 days earlier. He's in a morgue, and he's basically dead. He has bullet holes in his body, and these guys are examining him, and they mention something about Hope, Idaho, and then Alex, basically opens his eyes, and he's breathing again, and he's alive, and the guys examining him are shocked, and they run away, screaming, and he walks outside and finds that, the military's after him, and these military guys come and, shoot the guys who are examining him for being witnesses, and then they shoot a whole bunch of machine gun bullets into his chest, but he gets up and he's still alive. And then he runs off and kind of is like, "I gotta get the fuck out of here." And then, so he runs away, and he finds out that he has, superpowers, and basically his powers are, he can kill people and take their likeness as a disguise. He can shapeshift into the people he's killed and stay in that form as long as he stays, in wait, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. As long as he stays, normal, as long as he acts normal. But if he does something to jeopardize his disguise, then, he'll be out. He also has super strength. He can run really fast, he can run up walls, he can glide, he can also, he can also shapeshift his arms into different weapons. The first weapon you get are these claws. You get 2 claws. Yeah, actually, I'll talk about that later. So anyway, back to the story. So, also, when he consumes people, not only does he take their form, he also, takes their memories. He can see their memories, and some of them lead to who he is. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, he has actually no memory of who he is. But then, he sees, in one of the memories of the guys, he sees something about his sister, Dana, and he finds out where she lives, so he goes into her apartment where there's this military guy holding a gun up to her head, and then he comes and he impales the guy with his fist, like he punches through his chest, and that kind of scares Dana, but they talk about it, and she's like, what the hell happened to you? And so he basically needs to find out what happened to him, who he is, and what the hell is just going on. And he goes to investigate. He finds out about this woman named Elizabeth Green who kind of started this, and so he goes and finds Elizabeth Green at Genentech, where he used to work, because he was a scientist, which he later found out. And he finds Elizabeth Green, and she's, like, really fucking messed up. She's so creepy. She's so creepy in so many ways. Like, when she talks, she has, like, an echo to her voice, and she was locked up in the top of Genentech, and she escaped, and she, like, he was hoping that she could help him or something, but she just was so pissed about something, which later in the game you find out why she's so pissed and so driven on revenge. So she goes out and she kind of starts infecting people with this disease called the Black Light virus, which Alex is also carrying in him. That's why he has the powers. And so he finds out stuff. Wait, where was I going? Oh yeah, and also meanwhile there's also this guy named Sergeant Cross, who is hired to basically kill him, or just take him down. And so there's kind of a bit of a rivalry. And so, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the rest of the stories. I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit. Let's see, what's an interesting point? Oh, eventually, at one point of the game, he gets injected with this thing that, stops him. He can't use most of his superpowers, but then he gets cured of it, and then, one of these monsters, so there are like these monsters in it called hunters, and one of them actually takes Dana, his sister, and basically carries her away. He chases after her through the city, and then he has to, so basically now he has to find her, and eventually he does find her, but she, like, they didn't really say what happened to her. She just kind of looked, like, messed up and weirded out, and he talked to Elizabeth Green, and she's like, she's one of us now. And then, like, he injects her with something, and then she pukes out blood, and the blood turns into this monster called the Supreme Hunter, and you have to fight that, and he's kind of hard, and he runs off, but then as he runs off, you see a pile of blood, and it forms into a hand, so that kind of gives you something that might happen later. And, let's see, skipping ahead, he meets, Dr. McMullen, who he's been trying to find. He used to work for Dr. McMullen, and he basically tells him what happened. So, him and Dana were kind of suspicious about something that was going on at Genentech, and they were trying to find out the truth, and they almost did, and, he was put in charge of Blackwatch, which is this thing, and they were researching for this new substance for biological warfare, which was also studied in the 50s, and so basically he recaps what happened the day he got his powers. So he called a military hit out on Alex because he knew too much, and as Alex tried to leave, he got cornered by military, and in anger, he threw this vial that he had of the black light substance on the ground and kind of started an infection, and then after he threw it, they shot him to death, but as he died, part of the virus got inside him and healed him, and gave him the superpowers. So yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. So basically now he knows what happened, and he kills McMullen, and yeah, and now then he meets up with Sergeant Cross. Oh wait, and I should mention, I forgot. Also there is this big boss fight with Elizabeth Green, where she's like this giant vagina monster, as me and my friend called it. Yeah, it was like this giant bloody monster that you have to kill, and it's really hard. It's probably the hardest boss in the game, but you know. And so anyway, back to the story. So he meets up with Sergeant Cross again, and he wants to join forces to stop this general guy from basically dropping a nuke on New York. And so they can't let that happen. And the reason why they want to drop the nuke on New York is because the infection is growing and growing, so they want to purify it by dropping the nuke. But Alex believes that there's another way, so now he has to stop them from doing this. So they join forces. They get onto the USS Reagan, which is this boat, and they meet with the general. And then Alex consumes the general and gets his memories of what happened back in the 50s. So they were studying the black light substance for biological warfare for, I think, World War II, and but they started growing this infection in this little kind of military town called Hope, Idaho. And in the center of it was Elizabeth Green, and she got infected bad with it, and she was pregnant, which earlier Alex mentioned that she was pregnant, but he's like, what happened to the baby? And so now you find out what happened to the baby. So the baby was also infected, and I really hate this part of the story, but the general actually killed the baby right in front of her eyes, because he wanted to stop the infection from growing, which is really sad, and that's why Elizabeth Green was so mad and so driven. And then after the memory's over, Alex is like, "You bastard. You could have stopped this." But then, Sergeant Cross then betrays him, and so basically, and he wants to let the nuke happen for some reason. I wasn't too sure on how this went, but he basically betrays Alex, and he wants to consume Alex so that he'll be more powerful. And so apparently Sergeant Cross has also been carrying this virus too, and he turns into the second Supreme Hunter, so you have to fight the Supreme Hunter twice, but the second time is actually pretty easy. And so you have to fight him. He dies, and then Alex gets into a helicopter and takes the nuke away and drops it into the ocean, and then it explodes and destroys the helicopter with Alex. But then Alex manages to regenerate himself by consuming a crow, because when he consumes something, it heals him. And so basically he survived a nuke explosion, but New York is still fine. And then he says, Alex Mercer, this city suffered for his mistakes and stuff like that. And he mentions, what have I become? Something less than human, but also something more. And then that's where the game ends. And then after the credits, he also mentions, my name was Alex Mercer, and there's still some job to be done. My work is almost done. That didn't make sense the way how Sorry, I have a stutter. So anyway, that's where the game ends. I know I didn't really I didn't go as in depth as I did with Infamous, but you know. So let's see. Now on to gameplay. So in the gameplay, you can basically do like anything. Like you can run up walls, you can take the form of people, you can turn your arms into weapons, which is probably the biggest part of the gameplay. Is that he can turn his arms into weapons. Like first off, you get 2 claws with big swords for nails. And then you also get the hammer fists, which are like these giant like Hulk fist thingies that can destroy a tank with 1 punch. And then you also get the Whippist, which is like a tentacle whip harpoon thingy of death. And you also get his main weapon, which is his sword arm, which you can see on that picture. And it's his toughest weapon. He also has this armor that he can make appear on his body. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but look up a video and you'll see it. Like, he can make this armor come onto his body. And yeah, and what else is there to say? Oh yeah, he can also do Devastator attacks. Like, he has this one attack where he makes like all these tentacles come out of his body, and it grabs everything in sight and basically kills them, and like he consumes them into his body. So yeah, and the graphics are pretty good. I'm not really sure what else to say. I think I'm pretty much done. So yeah, this has been me, signing off, and goodbye. Goodbye.